In this video, I'm going to cover Houdini Modeler. I'm using Houdini Modeler 2023, and I'm fairly new to Houdini Modeler, so I thought I'd put together this video to kind of walk through what Houdini Modeler is from a new user's perspective. Houdini really is geared for procedural modeling, but with Houdini Modeler, it seems to have kind of made a nice bridge between direct modeling and procedural modeling. So I thought I'd just do a demo on how you use Houdini Modeler, especially if you're coming from a direct modeling package into Houdini. So Houdini, when you first open it, you get this interface. This is the build interface or workspace. This is where you would want to author or build 3D geometry. And so in Houdini, it is a node-based system. So you're going to have a node graph where you're building all your tools as nodes, and you're using those as you're working. So if I wanted to build a cube, for example, I could do it all in the viewport, but I would have to type in what I'm building. So I'll type in a cube, hit enter to the scene. And now I've got a cube. I've got my parameters over here. And then also I have a node. Now it looks like you have this cube and you're ready to start subdividing it and working with it. But the way Houdini works is right now, this is just a geometry node. The actual cube or box is inside. So you would double click to enter, and now you've got the box. And you've noticed now that I'm in this node, now I have other parameters available, and you've got this red box, so you can do some interactive things like change the scale of the box, and you can manipulate it. You can add more divisions. And the way Houdini works is if you middle mouse over any parameter, you kind of get this incremental scrolling. So you can scroll at a rate of one unit, or if you move up here, it's 10 units, and up here it's 100 units. So that's kind of a nice feature. Also, if you wanted to uniformly subdivide everything, then you would middle mouse on the actual parameter name, and then now you can do that all together and it'll link them. So if they start off different, like maybe you have something like this and now you middle mouse, it'll keep that ratio, as you can see here. So that's typically how you would work with Houdini. So now if I wanted to make an extrusion or something, I would tab. I'd have to know what the name of the node is. So if I just type extrude, I get some options here. And if you're new to Houdini, you're not really sure which one should I use. Should I use this Extrude Pro, this, that? I typically end up using this Poly Extrude, but that's just because I've been using it for a while. So you can select the faces you want to extrude, then go ahead and drop in that Poly Extrude. So now you can just type Poly Extrude, and now you've got a node here, and now you can build this. So that seems all fine and dandy, but it can take time, and you do need to start to understand what tool that you want to pull from the library of tools inside of Houdini. So what Houdini Modeler has done is they've taken all these tools and they've packaged it up to be much more user-facing. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete everything I've done here. And now I'm going to invoke Houdini Modeler. So Houdini Modeler comes in as a tab. Also, there's a Houdini Modeler workspace if you like. So if you're comfortable in this workspace and you just want to keep it, that's okay. You can run Houdini Modeler in this workspace. But if you want to use the workspace that Houdini Modeler has already set up, you just click that and you'll get this. And you get a really big working viewport space. There's less focus on the nodes. I think this is a better workspace for Houdini Modeler. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go to the Modeler tab, and I will start Houdini Modeler. And you just click this, and you'll know that you're in Houdini Modeler because it's going to highlight a yellow box around the viewport. Actually, that's a setting. So if I click the settings, I have all these checked on. I do like to see the entire rectangular box around my viewport, but if you turn that off, what you'll get, I'll show you. Let's uncheck this rectangular box. And whenever you make a change in the settings, you have to be sure to reload. So you hit the reload icon and then rerun Modeler. And now you see you just get this single yellow line. Both are fine. My preference is I want to see the entire viewport. It just makes it a lot easier for me to catch it when I'm in Modeler mode. So I'll just go ahead and put that back. All right, great. Now that I have Modeler activated, your tab menu changes. So you saw before when I hit tab, I got the typical Houdini tab pull down. But now if I hit tab, you get this tools panel that pops up. And it's organized in the type of tool that you have. So you've got your utilities, rendering, you've got modeling, retopology and symmetry tools. All that are kind of sorted in this way. It's a lot to look at. So you probably don't want to always have to pop this open and search for a tool and use it. So Houdini Modeler has kind of thoughtfully created context-based menus as well. So this is like your global menu where you can find something that may not be in your context menus. And I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to start a fresh scene and I'll just drop in a cube like we did before. I have no objects in my scene. So now when I hit the S key, I get this short list of menus that is appropriate for just starting off. So I want to create a box. So now I can just click on the box. And now I have a box in my scene. There's even some behavior differences with this box compared to when I was doing it in the default Houdini. For example, here I can just hover over any of the faces and then just click and drag it. And then that's going to move it. I don't have to click on this little triangular manipulator. I can click anywhere. If I hold shift and click, I'm going to do that symmetrically. If I hold outside of the box anywhere and I click and drag, I'm getting a uniform scale. And you can see all the settings over here happening in the parameters as well. So if you want to have precise numbers, you can just go ahead and plug those in as well. If you ever need to reset this back to default or any parameter to default, you can just right click on the name of the parameter. And then you can go down to revert to default, which is control middle mouse. So you can either choose it here or hold control and middle mouse over the name. So we'll go ahead and just add some subdivisions. So we can just go ahead and just middle click on the parameter name if you want to add it uniformly. So we'll just go ahead and do that. Let's add that. And when we're happy and done here, you can just hit escape to get out of the tool. So now we've got this cube. So let's say we want to do some extrusions on this cube. So what we'll do is we'll select some faces. Now in Houdini, there's a few different methods of selections, and you get these options up in here. So if I were to say I just wanted to select these set of faces like that. So when I do that, I'm also selecting the back faces, which is great if you want to do something like that and you want to grab that ring. But there may be times where you just want to grab those faces in a quick way. So up on top here, we have some options. There's this one right here. It's an eyeball. So this is only what's visible to camera. So if I click that, then I'll only click what's visible in the camera, and anything that's not is not going to get selected. There's also a laser mode. So if you go here, there's this laser mode. So along with lasso and other styles, you got a brush that you can do that, and you can increase the size of the brush, and that's kind of giving you the area that it's going to select or paint. There's also this laser mode, which is a little bit more precise. So it's just your cursor point, and you can kind of just trace along a shape. And with the laser mode, you do not have to select, you do not need to select what's visible to camera. It is only going to click on what it hits. Let's just do some simple stuff. Let's extrude some faces over here. So I'm going to use the eyeball, and I'll just select, maybe I'll select this group of faces here and extrude that. So now, since I'm in face mode, when I hit my S key, you see that I get a different set of tools available for me. And these are appropriate for face authoring. So I'm going to go ahead and just extrude. So now I can extrude that. And if I middle mouse, I can add segments. So I'll just do that. And maybe what I want to do is I want to separate. So you can do that by enabling it here. So now that I selected that, these are actually separate. And you're going to notice that when I choose to change the inset, like so. And if I uncheck it, then I inset everything. Something about Houdini that I found to be really amazing in working with is the proceduralism. So even though I've made this decision, I can go and I can change these after the fact. And I'll show you what I mean. Let's go ahead and select some other faces. So I'm going to press the 4 key again. This is my face selection. And so I'll go ahead and do a similar thing. So we'll just go ahead and select these guys. So when I press the S key again, you'll see that it automatically highlighted the extrude, which was the last tool that I've used. And that is because under settings, one of the options here is to open launcher and context sensitive menus at last tool. So this really makes it handy. So now if I want to extrude and hit extrude like I did before, and if I wanted to do it again, I can just tap S and let go, and that will be like repeating the tool. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that one. And you see that it's creating the nodes dynamically for me as I'm using all these tools. So I can just go back and just delete that one just to make sure, instead of undoing, I can just delete it, and that'll make sure that nothing is being applied there. So I'm going to continue with extending this original one a little higher, like so, and I'll add a few segments in there. I'm also going to change it so that each element is separate. So I'll go ahead and do the inset again, and I'll do something like that. Press escape, it automatically commits your changes, meaning that it applies your changes. You're not stuck in any way. You can always go back and make those adjustments. So even though they're not selected, the node is selected, and I can still go and I can change these as I wish. I don't have to reselect. And let's do something a little interesting too. So because the proceduralism is there in Houdini, I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and bridge a face. I'm going to bridge this face with maybe this face right there. And so I'm going to use the bridge tool. So I'll hit my S key, go to bridge, and now I've made a bridged connection across the two. And it tries to do a linear connection. So with Houdini, what we can do here is I'm going to add some divisions, and then I'm going to change the mode of that bridge to a curved mode. So if I click that, and now I've got this nice curve, and now I can start to use some of these parameters. I can change the height of that curve. I can change the stiffness of that curve. So maybe I want to keep it rectilinear, or very linear. So I can just change the stiffness, and I can pull that all the way over, and now it maintained very linear shape. But I'll go ahead and bring that back. All right, so I've got this curve now, and so we're not done. So one of the things that you might want to change is, let me go back to my face mode so I can better show you. So I'll make a selection that follows where this path is going. So I can just hold the A key, and then I can kind of just hover my mouse over the face, and you can see that it's going to follow my cursor, and then I can click, and now I've just made that selection. So you can see here that this side lines with the faces toward the camera, and it ends with the faces to the right, so over here. So maybe what you really wanted to do was you wanted to keep this this bridge where the face here is aligned with this face here. So instead of having to figure out an easy way to do it, or maybe manually making some rotations, what you can do is you can use this shift key. The shift is basically going to take your point and shift that around. So I'll show you what I mean. So as I move this around, I can decide where that face is going to land. So now I've got it to where I want it. There's also a twist feature, which is a little different. So let me put this back. So with the twist, and I'm going to add more segments to better show it. So with the twist feature, see it does a twist, but what will end up happening is I'm going to just select this loop. That will be here, just the way it was before. And you can see that it's connected there. That flows and goes back to here, just like it did originally. So the twist is just happening in between the two connections. So if I go back to what we had before and change the shift over one, now if I were to follow this, you can see that it's now facing in the same one as we did before. So it is pretty nice to have these features available in the bridge. It really helps with sorting this stuff out. The other nice thing about it is, let's just say later on, they want you to move this bridge not to here, but maybe to any other one of these. You're not dead in the water. Let's say you've done some work and you want to make that move. So you can just go up here. This is just letting you know where the connection is landing. So let me give myself a little bit more space so I can see. So you can easily define what the source and destination is. You can click this arrow. If you click it, it's going to highlight what this face is. Oh, that's this one, and my destination is this one here. So source, destination. Okay, so now what we can do is let's go back to the node. And let's say I wanted to move this. So what I can do is I can go to this destination, that's this one, and I want to move it. I can just middle mouse and I can just start changing my my number, and it's going to go to different faces. So I can move it to there. And I didn't have to rebuild or make any of these changes or replicate the values into a new bridge node. So that's pretty handy. There's other tools in here as well. So let me just get rid of the twist. Let's say you wanted to make some changes to the curvature. So let me just add a little bit more divisions in here. And now what we can do is we can go under the thickness ramp. And this is just a curve. So if I click this and I start changing, you can see I can start changing the way that curve behaves. I can also add multiple curves in here, like so, and then I can slide these values. And at any time, if you need a little bit more room to work than this, you can then click this little icon here, and that will expand your area so you get a little bit more precision as you're trying to deal with this. And what's really nice about it is even though you've changed all these things, let's say I've just done something like that. I'm going to go ahead and close that. If I go and apply a twist again or something, it still maintains that curvature along the bridge path, but now you can still apply your changes on top of that as well. And you can even change your twist. This is another interesting one. So I can go in here and change the amount of twist a little bit different than another. Maybe I can go in the middle here and do some stuff like that. And then I can slide this. Super neat stuff. If you want exact values, you can then pull down this like little drop down, and now you have your changes and the curve type. I feel like there's so much control in a lot of these tools coming from another package that it's just like I'm experiencing new things. It's just making it so much more fun to play around. I'll show you some other really neat things in Houdini Modeler that I really like. We've gone through the extrude, but let's say you wanted to step these down. So normally you would probably delete them and then recap the faces, because if I were to extrude these down, I would get this. And so now I've got these coplanar faces, and then I'd have to delete them and rebuild them. So what you can do here is I'm going to go ahead and just delete that extrude just to be clean. They have a tool here called the Extrude Pro, and this is pretty slick because what you can do here is choose Extrude Pro, and now when I'm moving my faces, they're actually building the prop face support behind it to support that move. So I'm going to go ahead and just snap this, and what I'll do is I'll just I'll snap this to this level here. So now you'll see that it built these faces just to really show if let's say I grab an edge or a vertex. Maybe a vertex is better to show. If I just grab one vertex and I go to move it, you'll see it is connected. And same with the faces. So if I grab a face now and I go to move it, you'll see it's all connected. So let me go ahead and delete that edit. And so I'll just go ahead and grab these two guys and do the same thing. Again, when I hit my S key, it's going to just remember that I was in that Extrude Pro. And then I do want to snap it. So I'll just grab this and snap it to that point, like so. Another nice thing with this tool is it will build a channel that can go all the way through. So if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to remove this whole set of faces. So what would we normally do? We would probably select those faces like so, delete them, and then rebuild the faces behind it. What we can do here is we can use that same tool again. So let's just go ahead and select a face and use the Extend Pro. And now all I need to do is just slide this all the way through. And it cleaned that up. You will still need to connect these to keep things together, and we can do that with the pen tool. So if you hold the S key, there's this poly pen, and the shortcut for that is Q. So you can just press the Q key, and now you've got this. And it works on the different components, vertices, edges, and just vertices and edges. But this will allow you to quickly, so I can just, let me see here. So I can just drag this over, and there's a dotted line. So this is important to see. Let me get out of this. When I hold Control, I can add an edge. And so when I grab that, you see that dotted line? That dotted line, and it's going to snap to it, that is following the proper edging. So I'll show you. I'll go ahead and just connect this to this. And I believe I can just click that and now go here, and now it's connected all those faces. And they're in line, so it's not crooked. I don't have to worry about that. So all you really need to do is follow the line at first, like that, just so it snaps it. And once you do that, then the rest is just about grabbing this point and telling it where you want that to go. And that's pretty painless. You can also, like over here, there's a, let me move this. There's some tips. So Shift F1 will hide those, and Shift F1 will bring them back. But you can see that you can do all kinds of really nice stuff with these. So now let's continue. Let's do some stuff. Oh yeah, here's another thing. You just saw what I did here. So now let's just say you wanted to punch a hole in this geometry. So we'll go ahead in our face mode. We'll do the same thing, Extrude Pro, and now we'll just slide that all the way through the model, and now we've got a hole in the model. Other cool things, let's say you wanted to pull out a dial out of this right here, like a circle. Instead of creating a cylinder and then pushing that up against it and then welding the faces together to make a unified mesh, what you can do is go into your face mode, select the faces that you're interested in. I'm just going to grab those right there, press S, and then go to circle. And then now I've just created a circle. And so now I can continue with an extrude, and I can build that dial out. All right, so I've done a lot of things here, like different things. Actually, let's continue with a little bit more. So let's just say we wanted to go to edge mode, and well, I don't want that loop. I'm just going to do the, I want to take the bottom edges. So I can click and then Shift A, and I can tell it the path I want to take. And now let's go ahead and add a bevel. So again, now it puts me into my edge selection. So I'll go to my bevel. We'll just push that all the way, and then middle mouse, actually not all the way. Let's do that, and middle mouse, and then I can add a couple of segments, and I get this curve. It's very similar to working with the bridge tool. You do have a curve here. You have this ramp, so if you wanted to control the curvature, you can do that as well. So we can enable the ramp control here, and we can see that we can we have some controls available to us here. And if you wanted to go a negative, you can add negative values as well. So let's say -5, and now I've got kind of this type of a bevel. And we can always change the curve type. So right now, you can see these handles, and that is because this is set to Bezier. But you can take these handles and you can modify how you want that curve to play. And you can move it around. You can always uncheck this and it'll go right back to where it was before. We can add edge loops as well. So we're in our edge mode right here. Let's say we wanted to select all these edges. We can Shift A and then middle mouse, and then that will do an entire ring as well. And let's say we want to split that ring. So we can come in here and we can choose from these 3 options. So edge loop just allows you to manually place where your edge is going to go. And then edge double, or this double loop, will basically split your selection and allow you to move 2 loops, which is great if you're going to create some tension for your subdivisions. And let me select these again. And then there's the multi-cut. So the multi-loop, this is really nice because it'll drop one down right in the center, and you can see the number of loops in the parameters. It defaults to 1, but you can just like left click anywhere in your viewport and you can add multiple loops. I mean, there's just so many tools. You can go through each one of the tools in here to understand what they do. There's a ton of them. Every tool that I've used is just a tool that lives in here. There's a really cool, if you want to see what this looks like subdivided, you can just hit the F2 key, and then it'll show you a subdivided preview, and then if you click anywhere outside, it goes away. So you can preview, you can tumble around, but then if you click in your node graph or parameters or anything, it just goes away. It's temporary. But if you did want to work like you would in other packages where you can have the cage and then be able to see your subdivision but work on the cage level, you can do that as well. You would really just drop down a subdivide node. Let's go to faces, and I'll just double click and select everything here. We can drop down a subdivide. So now it's subdivided. And then I just typically move that way down here. Then what you can do, just click on the last node that you were working on. And so there's this cage now. And you can see as I'm hovering over, I'm going over the faces of the cage. So now I can, maybe you want to just kind of select those faces, and then we'll just go ahead and extrude. And we can start to extrude the mesh like so. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. Okay, so what's really cool about Houdini Modeler is the proceduralism in all of this. So let's just say that you wanted to go back and you wanted to change the size of these faces, the tops of these faces, which would be typically pretty easy, except that this one would not. You would have to select the edge, you would change the edge scale on this, but then you would have to fix the way all these other edges kind of flow with it. So it would be a bit of a hassle. So what you can do now is you can go down to that extrude. And by the way, you can name these. You can come back here and name them so you have a good idea what they are. You can put like little notes. So I can put in a note right here, and you can scale that however you want. Place it here and say, you know, first set of cones, or whatever you want. And you can even give these things colors. Like you can definitely make it very easy to understand what's going on. But let's go to this first face over here. And maybe you want to know, like, okay, yeah, that's the one that I want to change. So what we can do is we'll go back to the end here. Actually, I want to change this one. So I'm going to go to the second extrude. I'll go ahead and select that. Yeah, so we can go in here and we can change the inset, and that will also adjust the bridge along with that. We can add a twist to it as well. So let's just kind of grab the twist and we can change that. So now we've got a twist in there as well. Yeah, so you can kind of go back to these different things and make adjustments. So let's just say you wanted to change this bevel here at the end. So we can go to the bevel and we can make some of those adjustments. And so we're still good on this stuff. So and we can change the divisions as well. A lot of power with this tool for sure. All right. Yeah, but that's kind of Houdini Modeler. It's really, really powerful. Oh, another thing I wanted to show you, you can change those context menus. So that's another really powerful thing. So for example, if you've noticed that I have things like subdivide over here and to circle, those were not in the original context menus. So if you want to manually make your own additions to those menus, you can right click on the menu you want. So you can see that there's object, point, edge, and face menus. So you go to the one you want, you edit the tool like so, go to the script, and then this is going to show you everything the way it's listed when you use the tool. So when I press S, you can see that subdivide, all these things are the same here. And whenever you put a little dash, that creates a delineation. That's a nice little line that breaks those different areas. So for example, I'll go ahead and just remove the subdivide because I'll remove the delineation with it. So we can delete that like so, and then apply and accept. And then you have to reload. So you press reload and then reinitiate modeler. And so now if I press the S key, I no longer have that subdivide as part of my tool list. So I'm just going to go ahead and add that back really quick. Go in here, enter, and then I'll put subdivide, and then I'll put a little dash here, like so. Apply, accept, reload, restart modeler, and now I have my subdivide again. If you want to know, like, well, how do I know what tools and what I should type to get those tools? You would just go to your tab menu, like so, pick the tool you want to add, and then just add that in. It's pretty simple. There's going to be more user-facing menu options in Houdini 2024. So excited to see that one come out. Anyway, I hope this was helpful. I think it makes transitioning into a tool like Houdini a lot easier coming from another 3D package. I know I work with a lot of people in the industry, and there's always a little bit of intimidation in moving into Houdini for modeling. And I think Houdini Modeler is really a great stepping stone to get people into Houdini. And what's really nice about it is you can work in a direct modeling way, but you're under the hood, you're really building proceduralism in a way. You can always go back and make adjustments, so you have a live history stack. The other really powerful thing, by the way, that I just thought was incredible is when you're normally working in most 3D packages, you definitely have like an outliner that you can view your setups. Right now, this entire mesh is a node, which is grouped under, and then underneath it is all the history of building that. So you can enable this graph view in the node graph area, and then what you will get is you will get more of a hierarchy view over here. And if you open this up, these are all the nodes that we use to build this. I typically set this to sort none, because then this shows me the exact sorting of how the nodes are built right here. And so because of that, as a user, if I wanted to give this file to another artist and they wanted to kind of walk through how I built it, the construction history is there. So for example, if I click one of the parameters here or one of the nodes, it highlights it. So you can see it's highlighted in yellow there. If I click another one, you can see it highlights it here and it brings up the parameters. But what's really, really cool about this is if I go to the box and in this window here, I double press R, so RR, it's going to show me what that box looks like. And it's going to have all the parameters for me right here. And if I go to the next one, the extrude, and I want to know exactly what was it that I extruded, it gives me kind of a templated view of like what it's going to do. But if I really want to know exactly what I did, I would click this arrow, and then that extrude is basically me selecting those faces with these parameters. If I press R in my view, double press it, then it shows me the result. So you can kind of just completely reverse engineer everything. So what did I do here? I'll just click this arrow. Oh yeah, I selected these faces right there, and then I will double R, and that's what I did with them. And there's all my parameters. You can go all the way through this. You can go to the two circle section here. And so you're like, okay, so what did you do there? You can just click this arrow again. And it's like, oh yeah, I selected those faces, and then I'll just RR, and that was the result of what I've done with that. This is fantastic. Now, if you don't want to, like, let's say you were going to hand this off and you didn't want to take the entire construction history with it. If you're doing a really complex object and you want to optimize for speed, what you can do is you can drop down a stash node. So a stash node is a way of caching the data into a node. So if I just press tab in my node graph area here, if I press tab and just type stash, then this is basically a node that is going to collect everything that you've done upstream. So I would just drag this, connect it to this node, stash input. And then now this node is now everything else. So I can go in here and I can just delete this. And now I've got everything is in this one node. And I can continue building on this node and still use Houdini Modeler. So if I wanted to select that face and just extrude this face, well then I would just go in and start working the way I did before. And you can see that it will just continue, Houdini Modeler will just continue to build on top of this node. Anyway, so these are some of the really cool things that I found in Houdini Modeler, and I actually really loved working with it. Took me a little bit in the beginning to kind of get used to like the interface and how things work, but once I did, the Houdini Modeler really made that process a lot faster, because I found I had a lot more functionality available to me that I would have to figure out how to do in the direct modeling package, but this had so much controls that it did make things a lot easier. Anyway, I hope this video helps you and may get you to kind of get into it and play with it a little bit. All right, well, anyway, thank you for watching, and have a great day.